My name is Patricia Quijano, and today I'll be doing my online presentation on developing team effectiveness. First off, what is a team? Susan M. Heathfield, a human resources expert, defines a team as any group of people organized to work together interdependently and cooperatively to meet the needs of their customers by accomplishing a purpose and goals. Now that we know what teams are, why do organizations, when time is money, invest into creating effective teams? Why are effective teams so important? There is a quote by Helen Keller that states it simply: "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." Why are effective teams so important? In Chapter 2 of our textbooks, it says the teams are formed for the following reasons: better decisions, faster response, increases productivity, greater buy-in, less resistance to change, improved employee morale, and reduced risks. Now I want to expand on the point of reduced risk. Some companies find that reduced risk equals less accountability. I believe that having a team does reduce risk, but it also increases accountability. It reduces risk by creating a high bus factor. The bus factor is how many employees can get hit by a bus before the project would come to a halt. If the team is an effective one, responsibilities would be shared. Therefore, if a team member gets hit by a bus, or more realistically, goes on vacation, another member can pick up where the other left off and keep the project going. In regards to increasing accountability, Edmund Lau, who contributed an article to Forbes, made a valid point in which he said, "Peer pressure is a powerful force, particularly if you're working with people whom you respect and don't want to let down. The motivation to help your team succeed can override the dips in motivation that you encounter on days when you are not at your best." Having a team does not mean instant success. Some teams don't work well together and can cause negativity and hinder productivity in organization. To succeed, the team needs to be an effective one. Now to the core of my presentation, developing team effectiveness. Chapter 2 of our textbook provides 11 tips that I believe are vital in developing team effectiveness. I will be sharing and expanding these tips with you in hopes that it will be of value when you are in the midst of creating your own teams. The first tip is establish small teams. When it comes to effective teams, less is sometimes more. Many studies have shown that smaller teams tend to be more productive teams. Now, some people may think the more people the better, but that is not always the case. In an article done by Janet Choi, she states that throwing more people at a problem is one of the most common productivity traps that you could fall into. Now, there are 3 elements that make it difficult for larger teams to work. The first one is coordination cost. The more members in the team, the harder it is for everyone to keep coordinated and informed. There is also a greater risk of having mismanagement, misinterpretation, and miscommunication within the team. The second is motivational cost. Think of it this way: if you're a part of a large team and most of your work goes unrecognized and unrewarded, would you be motivated to give it your best? The third is relational loss. In a study done by psychologist and University of San Diego professor of management, Jennifer Mueller, she found that in these larger teams, people were lost. They didn't know who to call for help because they didn't know the other members well enough. Even if they did reach out, they didn't feel the other members were as committed to helping or had the time to help. The second tip is to encourage diversity. Having different perspectives can result in better work. Therefore, having a team who differs in gender, age, ethnicity, social background, training, and experience will not only create an effective team, but a more innovative one as well. Dominant, influential, steady, and compliant. These are the DISC personalities. Having a team with diverse personalities will enable each member to be in their preferred role within the team. This could lead into a more cohesive, therefore more effective team. The third tip is determine the purpose, procedure, and rules. Determining the purpose and creating specific goals takes time and effort, but it's crucial in developing team effectiveness. Developing procedure guides the team on how to best reach these goals. In the initial stages of team formation, Having meaningful discussions help determine what the goals should be, how these goals should be reached, and motivates the team to work towards it. Having clearly defined roles for each member is also a very important aspect of an effective team. If possible, having a role that suits each member's disc personality would be most beneficial. The fourth tip is to acknowledge and manage conflict. It is natural for conflicts to arise, especially if people work in teams. If managed properly, conflict does not have to be negative. One way to do this is by not avoiding the issue but acknowledging it and addressing the root of the problem. Conflict, if managed well, is actually quite constructive. It can motivate the team to search for new ideas and increase participation. Two quotes by Patrick Lencioni, a well-known business author, best illustrates this by saying, "Great teams do not hold back with one another. They are unafraid to air their dirty laundry. They admit their mistakes, their weaknesses, and their concerns without fear of reprisal." He also mentions that when there is trust, conflict becomes nothing but the pursuit of truth, an attempt to find the best possible answer. The fifth tip is cultivate good communication skills. Communication is one of the most important factors in an effective team. It is so important that we are now currently in a course solely devoted to business communication. Good communication skills includes actively listening, identifying nonverbal cues, articulating ideas clearly and concisely, and to be able to inject humor. The sixth tip is advance an environment of open communication. Open communication is essential for the team to thrive. It builds relationships and trust within the team, and having this type of engagement enhances performance. Team members would be more productive because they would feel more open about discussing their views and their ideas. The seventh tip is to encourage collaboration and discourage competition. Having a setting where each member shares information, contributes their ideas, and openly receives feedback is a team that encourages collaboration. Team members should understand that achieving the team purpose is more important than competing with other members. It is also a team that celebrates individual and team accomplishments. The eighth tip is share leadership. Although having a team coordinator would be advantageous, effective teams do not have a formal leader. Leadership rotates to those with the most expertise at various times during the project's evolution. But if a crisis arises, a strong member may need to step up as a leader. The ninth tip is create a sense of fairness in making decisions. All sides of the story should be heard. Members should listen to the pros and cons of ideas or situations that are brought up. No member should be forced into a win-lose situation. The 10th tip is to lighten up. To have members lighten up may not be something typically heard when discussing team effectiveness, but it's been said that humor inspires trust and intimacy, which can lead to better team interactions. Eric Romero from the Peru Catholic University and Anthony Pasco-Salido from the University of New Hampshire have found that humor can have a positive impact on several aspects of effective team interactions, including effective communication, development of group goals, group productivity, and management of emotions. The last tip is to continually assess performance. Teams should always track their progress. Checkpoints and deadlines should be established and adjustments made when they are not being met. It's easy to assemble a group together, but to turn that group into an effective team takes time and effort from each member. Each member needs to believe in the purpose of the team and the value of the role they have. As with many things, it's easier said than done, but applying these tips to team situations that you may encounter will truly make your team an effective one. I want to end off this presentation with a quote from Henry Ford. "Coming together is the beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success."